everybody. So we are actually outside. I am at a library. I'm at the Loose Branch Library. I don't know if you can hear me very well because there's ongoing traffic back and forth. We are going to be doing a project. This is for my project. This is for a really good class of mine. And I have my ADA checklist that we are required to do. I will be making sure that I'll be checking off some lists. Today we're just gonna do outside. I will be coming out another day and doing inside. I will be providing pictures, videos, everything so that you guys can see. So the first priority is the approach and entrance. We are gonna be focusing on approach and entrance. We're going to be focusing on if things are accessible for disability. Parking spaces. I also got the consent of the supervisor to be doing this. So everything is all good. We have a lot to do and we have very little time. Like I said, I will be coming back at another day to be doing indoors. Right now we're just gonna knock out the hardest part. So we're just gonna do outdoors for today, focus on indoors later. I believe when we do indoors we are going to have to do voiceovers because again it is a public library and I'm not gonna be talking in front of a public library. So let's get going. So the first thing we wanna do in priority 1, parking, passenger, loading zone, public sidewalk, and public transportation stop that does not require the use of stairs. Yes, so parking, as I am going to show you, require the use of stairs, so we are good. There's nothing that does not require the use of stairs. So yes, we're gonna check that. If yes, location of route. So for parking, if parking is provided for the public, are an adequate number of accessible spaces provided. So yes, there are. So we have 1, 2, 3 public spaces, like I believe even the one I'm in. So 1, 2, 3, 4 disability parking, but the rest of them are regular parking lot. But I believe some of them have some requirements. So yes, we have a good amount. Total. I'm gonna have to go down each row. We'll do that together now. Let's go together. Okay. Let me see. Okay, actually we're gonna go on the safer side. I am not feeling very adventurous. So okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 so far. And this is including handicap parking. This is including handicap parking. 12, okay. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27. So we have 27 parking spaces as you guys have seen. And I need to divide that by 4 or 5 because we only have a few access for disability. So we have 27 and we're gonna divide it by 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have 4 and then the total is, sorry guys, sorry. I have my iPad down. We have like 27 in total, but like I have no idea what that is. We have 23 regular parking spots. Of the accessible spaces, is there at least one a van? Not sure if it shows that it is a van accessible. They said it's at least one van. But yes, I will also show you guys that this specific, the reason why I'm saying yes, it's going off of this specific parking because this looks more larger for a van than this. This is my car and this is where I park in the disabled parking lot, and my car is this small. So going off of this is bigger for a van. So yes, I am going to say that there is at least one that is for van. The next thing, our accessible space is at least 8 feet wide with an access aisle at least 5 feet wide. So 8 and then 5. This is where I have to measure. So I don't know how I'm gonna get a clip of the measurement, but I'm gonna try. Caffeine break. So here are my measuring tools. So as it said, we need at least 8 feet wide with an access aisle at least 5 feet wide. This I am going to take my phone and record. So it does meet the requirement. I don't know if it captured all of that, but based on the recording on my phone, it does meet the requirement of 8 feet wide. But we're gonna have to test out if the 5 feet wide will do it. So let's go on the other side so I don't disrupt traffic. I couldn't really get, I don't know if you could tell the angle shot, but I couldn't really get it until I was more farther out. It has met the requirement, 13 I believe over 5. So let me go back on my phone so I can check the videos that I took. So it's 17 by 5, which the van accessible space, and it needs to at least be 11 feet wide, which is what I actually already did. That one is the one that is 17 feet. Yes, with an 8 feet wide. I am gonna have to check on that, so I will be right back. So we have gotten the measurements. It is 12. The accessible is 12, and then 4, 12 minus 17 was 5. So unfortunately, no, it wasn't at least 8. So it was 5 instead of 8. It passed the 11 feet wide, but unfortunately it did not pass the 8 feet wide. Moving on to the next thing. Our accessible spaces identified with a sign that includes international symbol of accessibility. Some of them are. So for instance, the one that I'm parked at, they do not have a sign. This is what it looks like. There's no sign, and yet I am parked. Either I must be misled, but this is a parking disabled parking spot because of the lines. I know that this is, even though they don't have one stamp down, the lines of the colors are, the lines of the colors of it are black, I mean blue and white. So this is one, but there's like 1, 2, 3 of them that do have the signs. So I am going to measure the one next door, this one over here, and I'm gonna check if it's 60 inches off of the ground, which is what is asking, is the bottom of the sign at least 60 inches above the ground? 6 inches. So it is 60 above inches, which is very good above the ground, so it's more than 60 inches. I'm just gonna snap a photo real quick because I didn't have my phone with me, so I'm just gonna get proof of it to show you guys. I know I said I was gonna get a picture, but can't get a picture and I'm doing this all alone. So I cannot really reach anymore up there, but you guys see how it is. It's this is how it's very long, so it's above 60. I did a small video, but we are gonna check it off the list and we are going to say that yes, it is 60 and plus, because it's really more than 60. I believe it's like 80 inches, so yes, 80 inch. And once again, I am going to give you guys proof that one of the signs, they have another one over there with the symbol, and then the one that's on mine doesn't really have it. I'm not sure, because I already counted it as a disabled parking, so I'm not sure. But then we have another one, which is over here, so. And they also have service animals that are welcome, which is so nice. Another thing to check off the list, which I'm so happy about. So, let's see what else we need to do for this. No, unfortunately, there is not sign that reading van accessible. Okay, if the accessible route crosses a curb, is there a curb ramp? Yes, there actually is, but I'm gonna have to bring my phone with me for that, so let me show you guys. So when you're walking towards the library, you'll notice that there are stairs. This is an accessible route that is flat on the concrete. You're gonna have to still be careful because there's a little bit of a bump, but it's still flat on the concrete. Or you can go over here to get it, and then you have the ramp. Is more than 36, which is good, at least, so yes. One of them says, do all inaccessible entrances have signs indicating the location of the nearest accessible entrances? I'm not sure. This is something we're gonna have to go and look at. So there's actually on this side of the parking lot, if you come in here, there's a sign that says main entrance. But if you walk all the way over here, you would know this is the main entrance. But I'm not sure there's a sign that says, you know, oh, like this is like a disability access. I'm not seeing a sign. This is the entrance of the library, but there is no sign indicating that this is another way to access it, which, you know, is unfortunate. That is going to be a no, unfortunately. The only sign they do have is the main entrance, and that is unfortunate. I'm gonna place you guys up here. Okay. So for the checklist, we're gonna have to say no. All inaccessible entrances have signs indicating the nearest entrance. No. If not all entrances, if there's a sign at the accessible entrance with international symbol of accessibility, no. And that is going to be it for today. This is all we have to do for outside, and I will be bringing you guys along hopefully on Saturday for indoors. I think that one is going to be more of provide proof of like videos and photos of what is happening inside. For priority 2, 3, and 4, I believe we are doing indoors. Almost everything else is going to be indoors. So I will see you guys for that segment. Hello everybody, so today is Saturday, and as I mentioned in the previous clip, I am actually here to do priority 2, maybe 3 or 4, and those will be the last one. Also, we'll not be talking because it's a library, so I cannot talk, but after this I will be doing like a sit down video and explaining like what I went through, what I saw more in detail, just because I know voiceovers are not really my thing, but I will be putting like the completed sections of what I did per clip. So every clip you see me do and mark on my iPad will me be doing certain like sections of what priority 2 and 3 or 4 requires. So I will be doing that, and yeah, I actually cannot wait for the sit down video. I excel at them, so I cannot wait to explain more to you guys what I saw, some in theory how they can do better, or they did not check off all of the boxes on the ADA checklist. So this is the sit down segment video that I am going to walk through with you guys. I'm going to also put the priorities recording that I did. By recording, I mean the ADA checklist that I filled out. I want to put them on the screen as we go through them. I have notes that I wanted to talk while we're going through the ADA checklist on my iPad. So priority 1 was kind of difficult because it was more outside and you guys saw that. So we did the approach and entrance. We did some of it. So we did, for an example, is there at least one route from site arrival, parking, passenger loading zones, public sidewalks, and public transport stops that does not require the use of stairs? I put yes, and they had the parking lot. So then we moved on to parking. If parking is provided for the public, how many number of disabled spaces are provided? So the total spaces that I counted were 23, which are not disabled parking spaces, but there are at least 4 parking spaces that I counted as disabled. Of the disabled spaces is at least one a van accessible space. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that word. Of the accessible spaces is at least one van accessible space. So I put yes, and I showed you guys in the video, if you go back, there is one parking spot that I considered it a van spot, even though there was no proof on the sign that includes the international symbol of accessibility. There was no indication of saying if it was, for the van, but I personally saw vans parking, and it's wide enough for the vans to park, and it is for disability. So it is for disabilities, so I counted it as yes. The space is at least 8 feet wide with an access aisle at least 15 wide, so yes. And I put 17 feet with the access aisle at 5 feet. So then they asked about the van space. Is it at least 11 feet wide with, I said yes, is 12 feet wide, and then at least 8 feet wide with an access aisle at least 8 feet wide. And I said no because the measurement that I took told me it was 5 feet. Not 8, so I didn't count that. And I think honestly, if this checklist is saying it's at least 8, they really should consider adding one other van disability parking and at least make it 8 feet wide, considering that they did not meet that criteria. Are accessible spaces identified with a sign that includes the international symbol of accessibility? I put yes, and the measurements is the bottom of the sign at least 60 inches above the ground. I put yes, and I measured it to 80 inches, which was really a feast to measure because honestly, if you guys saw me reaching my hand up, it was so hard just doing that segment alone. So I put yes. And then unfortunately for the van, it asked again if there's a van accessible sign, and I said no because there wasn't any. So honestly, I think they should include a sign even if the space itself is wide. I think they need to add a sign. So I think if they added, like I said earlier, another disabled parking lot that is for the van, they should at least add the sign if the accessible route crosses the curb and the curb ramp. There was no curb ramp in terms of what I saw. I didn't really see a curb ramp, so I put no. And I think they should install a curb ramp. I think it would be helpful. But the thing is, when I was looking at the curb, it was flat, so it was easy for anyone, including people with wheelchairs, to go on to transport onto the ramp. But I think it's still safer that they should add a ramp. So there is a ramp, and this one talks about curb ramps, and there is a ramp, so I did measure that. And the ramp is at least 36 inches wide, and it is stable and firm and slip resistant. I'm not really sure about slip resistance because, well, I will say yes, it's stable and firm. I do not know about slip resistance because we didn't get any rain in the time that I went to do the project, but I do believe it would be safe, especially when there's like some form of a roof above the house. So I believe that the water would go down on the roof, but like onto the sides. It would not be like on where the ramp is. The entrance, they do have a main entrance that is accessible. There is also an alternative entrance just in case it's not very easy for people who are blind or with wheelchairs to enter. There's an alternative. It can be used independently and during the same hours as the main entrance, but in all honesty, again, now that I think about it, it's not, the main entrance is not, it is not accessible. I think they should at least include a sign that says it is. And again, going to this next one, it said, do all inaccessible entrances have signs indicating the location of the nearest accessible entrance? No, they do not have signs. If you guys remember, I tried to look for the signs. There are no signs indicating that it's inaccessible. Again, unfortunately, I really do think they have a lot to do with outside. Like, they have a lot to work on, and they do need to make it. The sign, they should install the sign. They should put the signs where people can see them. There's not even symbol of accessibility, so they don't even have that, and they really should put the sign of that, as I believe. So I really think the outdoors, it was more of a 50-50. Like, yes, it was good, but people with disability, especially if you have a parking disability pass, or if you have a van, it's good in that aspect. But the entrance, I feel like they need to put more signs. Even for the van parking, I feel like they need more signs. I feel like they should do more in terms of signs and figuring out they can do better. Let me look at my notes, see if there's any extra notes that I need. So the sign does not say if it is accessible for a van to park in the spot, but one spot was wide enough in terms of measurements to accommodate a van. They need to add on the sign indicating that it's accessible for people who are in vans with disabled parking paths. And then again, this is for the signs of the entrance. There's no signs indicating that the ramp is accessible for people with disability. I believe they need to fix that so that there is no confusion. Although people would know that it's for wheelchair, anything else, they can use the ramp who have wheelchair strollers. They can use the ramp to access entrance to the library. Now we're going to go on to priority 2. This one, I did the seating area of the library inside. So they are asking, are an adequate number of wheelchair spaces provided? I put yes. The total number of spaces provided in total is 12. But then the wheelchair number is 1. And I was really disappointed in this, to be honest. I expected more wheelchair spaces, and especially to the public. Like, what if there's 3 people in a wheelchair? I mean, it's true, they can go and look at books, but what if there's something urgent that they need to do and they need to get it done right then and there? There's only 1 wheelchair space, and if it's taking, it's not good for the other 3 people who need it urgently and as soon as possible. So while it's true, yes, they can go off into the library, venture, look at books on shelves while they wait, I think that the library needs to really add more access for people in wheelchair, more spaces for people in wheelchair. So I think that's something they should do, like add more wheelchair spaces. A wheelchair space is dispersed to allow location choices and viewing angles equivalent to other seating, including specialty seating areas that provide distance service and amenities? No. So with this one, I had to look around. Like, if I was sitting in a wheelchair, I would be confined to that space. There's no need for me to allow location choices and viewing angles equivalent to other seating. Where people are expected to remain seated, do people in wheelchair spaces have a clear line of sight over and between the heads of others in front of them? I put yes, but I will explain on this further. If you are tall, and you're sitting in a wheelchair, you will be able to view what's in front of you and other people that are working on the computers in front of you. But if you are short and you're in a wheelchair, now I do not know what wheelchair features are. I do not claim to know that, but I believe that if you lift your wheelchair a little bit up to the height so that you can look, I believe that you can see it. Now, unfortunately, there wasn't nobody with a wheelchair, couldn't do this. I don't have a wheelchair, but I did pretend to sit. Unfortunately, did not record this. I should have, but it's my fault. I made sure that, like, if I was in a wheelchair, would I be able to view someone? Now, I know it's not the same, but with what I was working with at the time, it's better. If there is a single wheelchair space, is it at least 36 inches wide? Yeah, and I did actually measure it. I went underneath the table and measured it, and it is 70 inches wide, which made me so happy seeing that it exceeded the limit. So really, I like it, but I just really wish they could add more wheelchair spaces in the space. So this is dining surfaces. For this one, I decided to use like the check-in, the check-out for the books when you come into the library, and then you turn on your right hand side and it will be there to check in and check out the book. I decided to use that surface as dining surface, and it said they're about at least 36 inches wide to accessible seating. I said yes, and the measurement is 63 inches, which was amazing. And then at the accessible spaces, is the top of the surface no less than 28 inches and no greater than 34 inches? I said no, and the measurement that I got was 24. This is for above the floor, so it was less than 28 and it wasn't 34, so I put 24. And honestly, I think this was a little bit of a disappointment, because if somebody in a wheelchair comes over and wants to check out their books and they don't have enough space to do so, that can be very disappointing, and they would have to ask someone to come and like help them out or something, which I'm sure, you know, they do not want to do, but they have to, because, you know, if the wheelchair cannot fit. So that's what I put down for the measurements. So for priority 3, I had to ask the managers if it was okay. They were not comfortable with me filming in the bathrooms, and like I tried to explain it to them nicely, and they still were not comfortable. And you know, they wanted to do something where they would film me in the bathroom, and I was not even comfortable with that. So I was like, okay, I can't do priority 3, so I moved on to priority 4. I did not put the measurements for priority 4. For the beginning at least, they ask if there is one drinking fountain have a clear floor space at least 30 inches wide and at least 48 inches long, centered in front of it for a forward approach. I put yes, but I didn't put the measurements, and that was my fault. I put the measurements, so yes, I do believe that it was centered properly based on the calculation that I did in the video. But even then, I do not remember the measurements, unfortunately. They asked if the drinking fountain is no deeper than 20 inches or the operable parts no higher than 48 inches. I put yes, but didn't put the measurement. That's my fault. If the drinking fountain is no less than 20 inches and no greater than, can the control be operated with one hand and without tight grasping, pinching, or twisting of the wrist? I said yes. And is the force required to activate the control no more than 5 pounds? I don't know why I put this one, since I didn't even weight it. But I put no, it's not required. As you can see in the video, like I believe it was the very last clip that I filmed, was me pushing on the button to make sure it was activated and, you know, working. So the control for that one wasn't really hard to push onto, so I really did think that you can do it with one hand. I think there was another water fountain that they included. I wasn't sure about doing it or not, but if someone, let's say someone has a disability and cannot use their hands, they would be able to ask for help, or they can put a water bottle. I'm sure they have resources where they can put a water bottle and the water would come down on its own, like the ones that you normally see at public places or, you know, universities and stuff, where you put your tumbler or water cup and it just comes down automatically. So they had those kind of fountains, which I thought was interesting, but I don't know why I didn't put it in as a fountain, like in terms of the measurement, because I think I was just doing one. But I thought that fountain was interesting, so I wanted to include it in here. And then it said, is the spout outlet no higher than 36 inches above the floor? So for the first fountain, I said 34, and the second one was 48. So the second fountain is actually higher than 36 inches above the floor, but the first one is 34. If there is more than one drinking fountain, is there at least one for standing persons? Yes, so there is one. Is the spout outlet no lower than 38, no higher than 43, which again turns to fountain 2, which I measured, and it's 48 inches. Unfortunately, it is a little bit higher than 43 inches above the floor, but I think in a way that's good. And then for the final part, if their fire alarm system, do they have both flashing lights and audible signal? The fire alarm, when I finished, I couldn't tell. I do know that they flash, but I didn't know about the audible signal. And so I talked to the supervisor slash manager over at the library, and I asked them if they knew it had like audible signal, and they didn't know, which was unfortunate because I really wanted to get an answer. But I do know that at least they have flashing. Fortunately, I did not get a clear response from the supervisor. No, if they had at least audible signals. But I put yes because of the flashing lights. But maybe I should have put no too as well because it was unclear about the audible signal. I think they need to install and they need to know at the same time for audible and visual alarms. Overall, someone who is hard of hearing, I am impressed by how accessible the library is. But I do think, as mentioned right now, that they have a lot more work to do in order to make it a better place for people with wheelchairs, people who are blind, people who are deaf, not even just hard of hearing, but deaf people. Like if there was a fire at the library, how would deaf people know besides the sounds of the fire alarm, going off? Deaf people will not know unless they start seeing people walk out and then they go. But like, I feel like overall it's good that they have met like some criteria off of this checklist. But also I feel like they need to do more work, that they can do better and they can do more to make it even more accessible. Yeah, I mean, this was an interesting project and I really enjoyed doing this project. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this project and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.